gonna watch this video. How long is it? We got 15 minutes. Alright, let's just watch this.
Unchained is the non-pay-to-win, buy-to-play version of Archeage that was released in October 2019. When this game came out, I went into it pretty much blind, as I never really experienced the original Archeage, and for the first month or so I honestly had a really good time. I made a bunch of videos for the game, a beginner and end game guide, as well as videos praising it overall. So what happened? How do you go from playing an MMO every day and enjoying it, to completely dropping it and not touching it for the past 5 months? In this video, I'll explain what exactly caused me and pretty much everyone I know, including my whole guild, to all stop playing at roughly the same time. The first part of this video is my reaction to logging in and playing for a bit for the first time in months, and the second part is more of an analysis of the game and its issues. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor.
Alright, so I'm going to skip to the 7-minute mark, and just see what his criticisms are. If you want to watch the video, go watch the video. I'll leave a link. You can go check out the actual, like, that part of the video where he's just playing. But I don't care too much about that. We're just going to see what he has to say about the actual game itself. Let me pull up chat here again.
The people to stop playing Archeage Unchained, I think it comes down to 3 main things. Number 1, the daily quests.
Stop complaining about dailies! You don't need to do them, dude! There's been, like, in the last week, I've probably done my Hiram dailies, like, the last 7 days, I've probably done my Hiram dailies, like, 4 times. There's been 3 days where I just haven't done them. Instead of waking up at reset early in the morning and logging on and doing my Hiram dailies, I just fucking just didn't do them. You don't have to do them. Sure, you might slightly slow down your progress, but how about instead of pushing yourself to do daily, you just, I'm not going to do it today. Instead, I'll just go do some healthy, have some fun, maybe go out to DGS, and I'll do some fucking arenas. God damn. Yeah, crash, verified. I didn't do dailies this week. I've skipped Hiram dailies multiple times this week. I even skipped it today, and I wouldn't do them today still. Okay, so I didn't wake up and do dailies today, because I didn't feel like it. I was just like, I'm not going to do dailies today. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'll probably do them later because now we have an event that's going to encourage us to do the dailies, so after maintenance, I might do them. But that's an exception to the rule.
Apparently this never used to be a big thing in the original version of Archeage, but...
Correct, it wasn't. You didn't really have to do a heap of dailies in the past, but with all the new stuff that's come out, obviously new quests are going to come out and those are going to compile. They are reducing that though. In the patch that we're getting next, the Gardens patch, all of the Hiram dailies are being compounded into less dailies, basically. And they're being converted into weeklies to combat that, because that was a problem that just happened. There was no real avoiding it, and it got to the point where there was too many dailies. And for some reason, people feel the need to do them, so they have to change that. So,
since the Hiram expansion, daily quests take up the majority of endgame progression, and any goals you set...
Incorrect. They do not take up the majority of endgame progression. Everyone thinks they do because they think Hiram is the only option, but those people don't realize that there's many different types of armor and weapons that you can be using that aren't Hiram. You do not have to go 7 Hiram pieces of armor, Hiram weapon, Hiram bow, Hiram fucking loot. You do not have to go Hiram everything. Myself, I went out of my way to grind the Serpentis sleeves. I went out of my way to grind the Cruel Glory sash. I would like to get an Erenor staff. I'm debating whether or not I want to put the effort in to do that. But you don't have to do full Hiram, dude. You can go 3 pieces of library. You can go 5 pieces of library. Fuck. You can do 4 pieces of Ironad Flame as a melee if you want. You'll do way more damage. You'll be squishy as fuck. But I hate that people think that, okay, it's so boring. All you can do is go with Hiram gear. And Hiram gear is so basic and boring. Like, fuck yeah, it is. You don't have to just go with Hiram, though. Hello? I got Shadow Warrior Shadows. It's the best fucking cloth piece in the game. I got a Cruel Glory sash. It's the fucking second best cloth piece in the game.
Set for yourself, from improving your gear to earning Gilder stars to build a mansion, will require that you log in to do dailies for a few hours on a consistent basis every...
What? Wait. Let me listen to that again.
For yourself, from improving your gear to earning Gilder stars to build a mansion, will...
Okay. It was a very small thing that he just said there, but he's essentially complaining that he has to grind a fuckload of Gilder stars to build a mansion, and if he wants to do that in a timely manner, he has to do a lot of dailies to get Gilda Stars. Right? It's a fucking mansion, hello? That's meant to take a long time to get, because it is the biggest type of player housing in the fucking game, and it's obviously going to be a chase item, something that's difficult for you to grind. You don't have to fucking do Gilda dailies every single day unless you're really trying to push out that mansion design. But if you just play the game, you'll get Gilda Stars from what you're doing. I don't fucking do Gilda Star dailies. I've barely been playing and I have 600 fucking Gilda Stars, and I just spent 500 on making my undergarments. And I'm not doing the basic arc pass. I'm not doing Gilda dailies. That's just Gildas that I get from playing the game and doing what I do. Anyway,
will require that you log in to do dailies for a few hours on a consistent
It doesn't require it. Okay, continue.
basis every day to make progress. What makes this such a head scratcher to me is that Archeage was initially designed to be a sandbox MMO, and the whole concept of having a set list of chores to do every day given
You are not required to do Gilda dailies every single day. It's not necessary. He has just made it necessary in his brain because he wants a mansion. If you want a mansion, then you grind Gildas to get the mansion because that's what you want to do. It's a sandbox. You don't require a mansion. You can get a mansion. And sure, Hiram dailies, sure. You know, you may, if you go with Hiram gear, of course, you're going to have to put in time and effort to progress that gear. You do not have to do it 2 hours a day. Like I said, 3 days of this week, I haven't even done dailies. My Hiram gear has been progressing the whole time. Because I could just get Hiram infusions from all the shit that I want to do. I want to go into Halsey and PvP. I get Hiram infusions from that. You never used to. Do now. I want to go and do drill camp arenas. You get infusions for that for my Hiram. I'm not farming Hiram. I'm doing PvP arenas, but getting infusions for my Hiram. Ugh. You don't have to, dude. That's what this is a mistake people fall into. They think that, holy fuck, my Hiram is the only gear that's viable. I need to farm for hours every day to do my Hiram dailies. No, you don't. Just do it every couple days, dude. What the fuck? Oh my god. Remove Hiram dailies, and now you fall behind because you don't want to grind every day for 2 hours? What do you mean? And you fall, sorry, remove Hiram dailies and now you fall behind people because you don't want to grind Hiram dailies for every... No, that's not true. Okay, listen. I skip Hiram dailies every second day at the moment, and I still pop... I don't have any at the moment because I've used them all, but I have some more on my alt. I pop labor recharge thingies to pretty much the cap every single day. So I'm spending like 10 to 15,000 labor every day feeding my Hiram stuff. I'm upgrading gems. I'm feeding my Noriette jewelry. I'm feeding costumes. I'm spending labor on getting gold and shit. And I'm not even doing Hiram dailies every single day. But my labor is bottlenecking me way more than my lack of Hiram dailies, right? Sure, I might get a few fucking less scrolls, but the rate at which I slowly get each of my pieces to tier 4 is insignificant because my infusions is what's slowing me down, and the labor at which it costs to feed those infusions and the gold cost to feed those infusions. I guarantee you, people who have been playing since the start that have, that have been doing their Hiram shit every single fucking day, I guarantee you they have a storage with hundreds of infusions, and they cannot feed them at a rate at which they get them. They're getting more infusions than they can feed. I guarantee most people are in that scenario because their labor and the amount of gold that they're able to earn is bottlenecking them more so than the amount of infusions they have and the scrolls that they have. Like, it's such folly. People thinking that you have to, like, work to fucking progress your gear. I've been playing again for a month, and my gear score went from 6.8k to 10.8k. I've gone up 4 fucking k gear score, and I'm like one of the laziest fucking players around. I skip dailies half the day. As long as you're just being consistent and you find ways that make it comfortable for you to play the game and earn your gold, you will progress. It might not be as fast as fucking humanly possible. Why did I ignore him? He's a big fan, and I like him. He knows I like him. So the guy that said he was a big fan. Anyway, let's continue watching. I did not want to I did not want to rant on this video, but I'm trying to.
Given to you by the game goes completely against what a sandbox MMO is. Number 2, the game has no fun replayable content that brings guilds together. Going into Archeage, I expected it to have some kind of content like Black Desert's Node Wars or Castle Sieges, where you fight other guilds.
Did he just say he expected there to be sieges, but there's no sieges? What? There's sieges. Hello? What? Okay, let me play devil's advocate here, right? There are sieges, for the record. Yes, they are technically more faction-oriented than guild-oriented. Because, you know, it's not just this guild fights this guild in the faction. But I can tell you right now, the guild that I'm in, has a lot of the more competitive players in it, and for the most part, when we do a siege, it's my guild, like a small amount of play, like from, I'd say like 10, 20 players, no, it'd be more than that, it'd be about 20-ish players from my guild, about 20-ish players from the second most competitive guild, and, you know, some other random guild players mixed in, that are all joining the siege raid to then compete in the siege. And the amount of people that participate in the siege is determined by the heroes, right? It used to be guild versus guild. Honestly, I prefer this new system. I think it's better because it's better for the faction. It's better for the game. I think it's better, honestly. And if you think if you think that that's not content that you can participate in, that's because your guild is either not willing to put in the effort to make themselves available at these raids, and I don't know, man. It's a guild thing. What do you mean? We have 25 people from my guild doing siege every single week, and we get in Discord with the other guild, and it's just 2 or 3 guilds hanging out together, having a good time at siege. But anyway, no guild content. There's plenty of guild content other than that. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But siege is just, you know,
guilds to own a castle, the kind of things that guilds are scheduled to do 2 to 3 nights per week that give you a reason to gear up in the...
Okay, see, listen, the word he just used is another part of the reason why when people like this are playing a game, they feel like it's a job. He just... schedule. He said 3 to 4 nights a week, a guild is scheduled to do something. Tell me that doesn't sound like a roster at a job. Sure, yeah, the sieges happen every week, but he wants there to be a night and a week where he could go raiding. And that is a fucking thing in Archeage. But wanting that, and that's the way that your end game is... I don't know. Does anyone see where I'm coming from here? There is those things. Every single... Like, fuck. Let me pull this up right here. Look at this. I have my schedule open right here. Today, everything's already done today. But tomorrow, in 21 hours and 20 minutes... Charybdis spawns. You know what goes out to that? My guild. Leviathan spawns at the same time. You know what goes out to that? A pirate guild. And we have to go out and stop them. You know what goes out to DGS ships? There's another guild doing that at the same fucking time because my guild and another East guild and a pirate guild are doing Leviathan and Charybdis. So that West guild, they're like, oh, quickly, we'll go out and we'll do DGS while they're occupied with this shit. And at the same time, on another day, Kraken will be up, so there'll be 2 guilds fighting over that. On your server, it might be, you know, this faction versus this faction, but your guild's there, and your guild makes up 1/3 of this faction in terms of the people who are showing up to these events. Same thing with Abyssal Attack, Castle Transport Supply stuff. You trying to tell me there's no endgame content in Archeage? It's just not the content that you want. Where's this video? Here we go. Continuing on.
First place. WoW has it with its raiding, Albion Online has it with its territory wars, Guild Wars 2 and ESO has this with World vs World and raids. Honestly, every decent MMO has this type of content.
Literally every piece of content that he just described is in Archeage in one form or another. Hello? Alright, give me a sec, Ketsu. I'll queue up for Nori in just a sec. Let me just get through this video.
Except for Archeage Unchained. When this game launched, everyone in the guild I was in was spamming dailies and gearing up with the assumption that this game had fun stuff to do together as a guild later on, something you can put your gear to use on, and other than roaming the ocean with your boats and hoping to run into people to PvP, the game just doesn't have anything.
Hello? What? It doesn't have anything. What the fuck? Every 3 days, Kraken and Black Dragon spawns. Every however many days, Charybdis spawns. Leviathan comes up. DGS is every single fucking day. Abyssal attack happens every 3 days, with Lusk is in between that. Fucking castle transport supplies happen every now and again. That's always an event that entices some PvP. Sieges are every fucking week. Like, what? You trying to tell me that there's not shit to do with your guild? Hello? Oh my god. Like, what? It's like he geared to play endgame, but then he didn't play endgame. Because there's not a 40-man PvE instance raid to do, because he's come from WoW or some shit. This is a PvP game. Did someone not tell him that before he played? All of the, like, relevant, fun PvE content to do is fucking world stuff. That's why this game is unique. And that's why it's based around naval stuff. Because Charybdis, naval. Leviathan, naval. Ghost ships, naval. Kraken, naval. On my server, each rift is a big PvP event. Exactly. And they happen every fucking 4 hours. Like, if you want your 40-man PvE raid, we have Red Dragon. That is a PvE instance 40-man raid. You may not do it with your guild, but if you queue up right, you can do it with your guild. You can go in with 20, 30 people from your guild. If you have 20, 30 people from your guild on at one time to do Red Dragon's Keep. Like, Kadum is the same thing. 50-man PvE only raid. Fall of Hiram City, 20-man PvE raid. Golden Plains, fucking up to 100 people versus 100 people in a PvP battleground. There's your battleground. You're trying to tell me that this game doesn't have endgame content? Hello? Jesus. Oh my god, I'm getting very angry and I did not expect to get this way. I'm very passionate about defending this game because I like it so much. And that's probably, I'm obviously very biased, right? But this guy is very clueless about what you do in the endgame of Archeage.
If you was to give me an account with 15k gear score, I honestly wouldn't know what to do in this game for fun.
Right, because you're so set on daily playing the game to just do dailies and grind, and then once that's over, you don't know what to do with yourself because you don't know that you can go out to Kraken, Charybdis, Red Dragon, do a raid, do a PvP group, do a dungeon, do an arena. Hello?
Other than ganking and spawn camping people around the...
What? That's all you could think to do if you had 15k gear score? How about going into Halcyona and standing in front of 50 fucking people casting fucking crashing waves and getting fucking pentakills constantly and montaging people?
The world.
Like, there's so much to do.
Think about your favourite MMO for a second, and think about the type of content that you enjoy in that game so much that it consistently gives you a reason to log in, grind XP and get better gear, whether it be PvP, PvE or something in between. Most successful MMOs have some form of fun replayable content or release content at a fast enough pace that you improve your gear in anticipation for what might come next. Now imagine your favourite MMO without the content that gives you a reason to gear up. That's pretty much how I feel about Archeage Unchained, and ultimately
because he doesn't understand what the content is.
The reason why me and so many others stopped playing the game. It has the most boring daily quest style progression system in the MMO genre, but without the carrot on the end of...
Also, I don't know for sure if this is the case, because I haven't played Black Desert, but I've heard that Black Desert is by far more grindy and boring in terms of the gear progression than Archeage. I don't know if anyone can confirm or deny this for me. But my first argument is that I'm pretty sure, and I'm not certain of this, but I'm pretty sure this is not the most straightforward, boring, long grind in an MMO. Confirm BDO is boring, brain dead. It's way more grinding. Okay, that's one example, right? But like we already said earlier, if you don't understand that there's different ways to gear your character and different ways to play the game, then you're obviously going to think that this is a one-dimensional game where you can only get Hiram gear. That's such a mistake. You're gonna be so bored if you just go all Hiram gear. Like, mix up your shit, play different stuff. Like, go watch some of my fucking build videos and you'll see just how diverse and interesting this game can be in terms of gearing your fucking character. Jesus. BDO is almost a single-player game with some wars every now and then. In BDO, the entire progression is killing the same 5 groups of mobs for 10,000 hours. Jesus. Alright, hold on. What did Kitsu say here real quick? I saw a message from him here. As someone who has thousands of hours in BDO, it is the worst system I have ever played. Everyone has their opinion, right? I'm not going to knock BDO. I haven't played it, so I can't give a genuine opinion on it. But my argument is just, there's obviously games that are a little bit more one-dimensional and grindy and boring and long-term than Archeage, for sure.
Of the stick to make gearing up worth it. Number 3, the labour system. I could rant for a long time about why I hate the labour system, but I'm gonna keep it short and say that when I did want to play Archeage, I felt like I could only play it for a few hours before I start running out of options due to running out of labour, and when I didn't want to play Archeage, I felt obliged to log in and burn my labour because it's capped, and I'm essentially wasting resources and limiting my progression by not doing so. It's a system that limits your playtime when you do want to play the game, but forces playtime when you don't want to play the game, and on top of the daily quests, was just another daily annoyance that slowly grinded me down to not giving a shit about the game anymore.
Okay. The labor, I understand his point of view. Genuinely, the labor can be triggering at some times. But there's one thing that I will say. In the current state of Archeage Unchained, you're not limited to the 2,000, whatever it is you get in a day. You get like 10 labor points every 5 minutes in 24 hours. That's what, 2,400, 2,800 labor, whatever that is, ends up being, a day in a 24-hour period. That's a very small amount of labor, and yes, it does limit what you can do in a day. So when you're playing for a whole day, you will run out of labor. It has to slow down your progression and force you to, think about how you want to spend your labor in the most, what's the word? In the best way, right? However, in the current state of Archeage Unchained right now, I pop like 5 to 6 labor recharges a day that I'm just getting from the Arc Pass, that I'm getting from doing a daily quest, from entering Halsey, which I'm doing because it's PvP and it's fun. So I'm getting a huge amount of labor per day. I'd say on an average day I'm spending 10k labor at least, because I'm getting my base amount of regen. At the moment we have an event that gives you a little popsicle that like basically doubles, then triples your labor, and then quadruples your labor regen for a couple hours during the day. And then on top of that, I'm getting Arc Pass stuff every week. That event just ended. It did just end, but for the last week or two, we've got way more labor from that. And it's unfortunate that ended. It's whatever. What can you do? But if you're doing stuff and you're using the Arc Pass, which just completes automatically playing the game, you're getting more than the amount of labor that you probably need to be spending per day. If you got more labor, your progression just speeds up like exponentially. But stop AFKing and do Nori, you bitch. Are they ready? Are you ready? Up in a minute. We're almost done. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. Labor is a hot topic. I don't completely disagree with what he's saying. I feel the same way. If I'm capped on labor, I feel like I have to play to burn my labor. And if I'm run out of labor, I feel like there's not a whole lot that I can do. But as an experienced player, more often than not, there is something that I can do. If I run out of labor, I can be doing arenas, doing PvP, having fun, dueling with friends in Ostera, whatever it is I want to do, helping friends just, do some of their stuff. If Crash wants to run some packs and, he's doing it in his car, I could just be AFK in his car carrying an extra pack for him. It doesn't cost me any labor, and I'm helping a friend, and I'm being productive. Yes, you're limited with the things that you could do when you run out of labor, but genuinely, as many flaws as it does have, I like the labor system and I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me too much. I think if you know how to spend your labor correctly, I think it's a great system, and the proficiency system tied into it is great. I love it. I think that's what makes the crafting system so good. But you know, what can you say? Gigadong with the Twitch Prime sub into a tier 1 sub. Upgrading, baby. You already gave me the free sub and now you're giving me the juice. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. When you run out of labor, the only correct answer is to RP. Exactly, dude. You go into that little mansion that's over in Unisteer, just by the GR thing, the one that has all the anime girls, and you just go in there and you're just like, and yeah, okay.
Fundamental level, the labour system in Archeage makes the game less fun than if it wasn't to exist at all, and a restrictive system like this one doesn't belong in a game that's supposed to be a sandbox MMO. I guess some other things that also annoyed me about Archeage that also contributed to me quitting the game are the fact that the game takes so fucking long to load up, that even if I did want to log in...
Is this really a complaint? The game takes 30 seconds to launch. Really? Is that so big of a problem that you would put it in a video? Press play and then look at Reddit for 20 seconds. Hello? It is a lot longer than most games, but is that really like an issue? That's really... Okay, I suppose if you have 3 accounts in one computer and you're constantly logging into like alt accounts and stuff, that can be frustrating. I don't know. Yeah, it's not a good thing, obviously, but is that really such a problem? It'd be good if it wasn't, but really? Did he ever play GTA? Longer loading screen after each mission? Yeah, exactly. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I just have a lot of patience as a person. Like, okay, so I was conditioned growing up playing in a household where my father is a very smart man. He codes. He is a very smart PC person for an older guy. He is an outlier in his generation. And when I used to play Xbox Live as a kid, I would have to basically ask for permission to have my Xbox Live turned on. So he would literally block my IP through the firewall so that I couldn't play Xbox Live unless I asked for permission. And I would have to, you know, ask for permission. So I would be constantly, like if I wanted to play some Call of Duty or some Halo 3 online when I was a kid or when I was younger, like a teenager, I would have to be, hey Dad, can I play some Xbox Live? And he'd be like, yeah, I'll turn it on soon for you. And then he'd turn it on in like half an hour, and I'd have to wait before I could play the game online. Or I'd be, I don't know, man. And we had like pretty shitty internet, so I would lag constantly. But it was never really something that would piss me off if I lagged. I would never get angry about it, so I'm super patient about it. Because I was just so thankful to be able to play online that I didn't even give a fuck if I was lagging while playing online. And maybe that's why I'm like, that's why I can handle Archeage with 200 ping. But I don't know, man. I guess I'm more patient than most people, and for the game taking 30 seconds to launch as opposed to launching after 5 seconds doesn't bother me. I don't know, maybe you guys have a different
quickly
opinion on
and
that. Let me
burn
know.
my labour on tax certificates, I need to sit through an obnoxious 5-minute load time that for some reason lags the hell out of my computer before I'm even in the game. As someone that rolled a...
Okay, well that's your computer, not... that doesn't happen to me. Does that happen to any of you guys? Does your game lag when you're launching it? Is that a common thing? I have 2 computers. It doesn't happen on either of mine. Yeah, the game takes, 2 minutes to load up. Do you get lag? Oh, really? Okay, so some people do. Alright. Just 2-minute load times? Laptop and PC, both. Okay, so some people do get lag when starting the game. That's kind of annoying. My computer is constantly laggy on its own. It doesn't matter. If you have a crappy processor / Archeage on a hard drive, yeah. Okay, well, I have SSDs on both, and this one is on an i5 processor, so it's not the best, but my main computer is it's a i9, i7? What is it? What is my CPU? It's an i7, but it's a good i7.
healer. The healing UI in this game is the worst I've seen in an MMORPG.
Okay, I don't play healer, so I have nothing to say in terms of the healing UI. and how to heal. Personally, I've played on healer accounts before. It's really tough. I'm not that I struggled to heal because it's a lot of micromanaging. I don't know if that's just because of Archeage, but man, healing is tough, and I have absolute full respect for healers that are good in this game for sure. But I can't. I mean, is the UI really that bad? Like clicking raid frames is like the raid frames are no different to raid frames in any other game. And in fact, you can use bubble names like he's using here to click on people's names instead of the raid frames. I don't know. I mean, healing, I don't know.
You know how
I can't say too much about healing. I don't do it nearly enough to have a legitimate opinion on it.
in WoW and most other MMOs, the nameplate UI greys out if someone's out of range or line of sight from you.
Does it, or is that just an add-on that you can get on WoW? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking. But anyway, yeah, sure.
In Archeage Unchained, this is not the case.
Yeah, because you're not being babied by game mechanics. You actually have to be decent.
And as a result of that, you basically have to click on people's names whilst they're moving to heal them, or just put down AoE healing circles and...
Okay, God forbid you have to be able to click your mouse on someone's fucking huge-ass bubble name, or click on a raid frame. Dude, I know, like, people who are, like, fucking 60 years old who play this game and heal well. Not that... How's Nori going? We're almost done, Kitsu. I'll go on to Nori in a second. Shit.
Hope for the best.
Let's keep going.
I love healing,
whatever.
but in this game, the lack of support from the UI makes it feel really bad. It's a sandbox MMO with factions.
I'm just going to go ahead and respect his point on healing. I don't heal in this game, so I don't... Not enough... I don't have enough... Whatever. You're reacting to someone who's hating on the game when everyone hates the game. Don't get tilted. Yeah.
Personally, I think the whole concept of being locked into a faction in a sandbox MMO completely goes against the freedom that a sandbox MMO is supposed to be.
He knows there's pirate, right? He knows that you can exile, right? What? Locked into a faction? First, being locked into a faction is not a bad thing. Isn't that the case in, like, literally every MMO? You pick a fucking faction? It's the same thing in WoW, right? But for starters, Archeage, you're not locked in west or east. You can go pirate, which is a separate faction that is made up of both. There used to be Player Nations that got taken out. That's whatever. But there's now an exile system, so you are not at all locked into your faction. You can't just pay $40 and fucking faction change. There's a literal in-game sandbox mechanic that lets you go between factions. It's not pay $30 and, oh, I'm a night elf now. It's, oh, this faction's actually quite strong, this one's quite weak, so we need to employ members of this faction to go over to this faction because it's a, you know, that's a legitimate RPG element. Whatever.
About when a sandbox MMO designs content around faction versus faction rather than guild versus guild, not only does it give you a feeling of apathy because you're rarely able to play a big part.
Hold on, big word. What does apathy mean? Apathy. Small brain, small PP. Lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. We'll just say that. Okay.
In the outcome of events, and you also don't know the people you're fighting alongside, but it also...
Nani? What?
also takes away from the impactfulness of guilds, because you can no longer have content in the game such as guild-owned towns, castles, or territories, and instead you...
Listen, there may not be legitimate guild-owned territories, but I can tell you one thing. On the release of Archeage Unchained, the tier list boys, we owned all of fucking Sunbite, dog. We owned all of this fucking zone out here, baby. This whole fucking thing, see how me and my family have this? We owned all of this, all of this, all of this, all of this, and most of this. Like, they may not be legitimate guild crap, but it's there. It might not be legitimate, but God forbid it be slightly more sandboxy. Okay, we're almost at the we're almost done the video. Let's go.
You need to have something meaningless like faction-wide buffs, or something that benefits everyone if your faction wins a siege, for example. Honestly, when I think about Archeage Unchained as a whole, I'm pretty annoyed by the...
By the way, the only people that benefit from a siege win or a siege loss is the people who participated, and... Never mind.
game, not because it's a bad game.
Hold on, what is this? What made you quit Archeage Unchained? Endless daily quest, 15%. No end game that brings guilds together. The labor system, incompetence from Gamigo launch, all of the above. Okay.
But because it's a game with very good bones that's clearly been designed by a dev team that doesn't have the slightest idea of what makes a good sandbox MMORPG, which has resulted in this ugly sandbox/theme park hybrid without the quality PvE raiding of a typical theme park, and without the competitive guild vs guild PvP scene of a good sandbox. It's a game with an identity crisis.
LazyPeon says in chat, so what I'm getting is it's not WoW. Yeah, basically. Archeage's not WoW. Me not like.
When it comes to the pros and cons of Archeage Unchained, it's really easy to just look at the pros and think, wow, this looks like a good MMO. It has good combat for a tab targeting MMO.
Fuck yeah, it has the best tab target combat in a fucking MMO that I've played.
A stunning ocean and sailing system.
Fuck yeah, it does. It has the most in-depth naval and sailing system in any MMO, including ones that are literally called Sailboat MMO. Like, be honest here. And yeah, the ocean looks great, and it's fucking huge, and it's amazing.
System with
as much as I fucking hate boat-to-boat naval shit, I like water PvP, and it's great.
Monsters and great fishing, a massive true open world.
Yep, it does have a massive true open world. Qualities of a sandbox, right?
With decent graphics, real
decent? This game looks like an anime, basically. Who the fuck doesn't like anime? If any of the 86 people in my pathetic Arcade stream right now don't watch anime, just stop watching me. If you're not a weeb, get the fuck out. Why do you even play this game? This looks great. Unless you play on low settings, in which case it looks pretty shitty, let's be honest.
Space, meaningful player housing.
Yeah, the housing is pretty cool, right? Hentai is great. Meaningful real space player housing. Yeah, that's a good pro. I mean, the housing's cool. I mean, it's pretty obnoxious looking when you look at it as a whole. Like, it doesn't look like legitimate housing in a real, like, space. But yeah, housing's cool. I like the housing.
The game isn't pay to win via the cash shop.
It's not pay to win. I like how in the past, before Archeage Unchained, so if we go back to this here real quick, what point are we at? Okay, so his pro here is the game is not pay to win. The cash shop is a bit pay to win with multiple accounts though. Not really. You can have 3 accounts and it costs you $25 fucking dollars. Let me go back to here. So this here, oh, where are we? We'll go back a little bit further. Okay, so this, if you'd have said, what made you quit Archeage, not Unchained, in the past, results will be used in our upcoming video, and it had pay-to-win aspects as one of the options, that would be a 100% of the reason why people quit. And now that pay-to-win is not in the game, it's like this tiny little pro that barely gets mentioned for none of the video.
True open world with decent graphics.
But in the past, that was the reason why no one played Archeage, right? Because there was too much pay-to-win. Fuck that game. It's just pay-to-win. No one wants to fucking play it. That's the only reason I don't want to play the game. It's a great game, but it's just fucking pay to win. Fuck that game.
Space, meaningful player housing. The game isn't pay to win.
But now it's not pay to win at all, other than the fact that you can get 3 accounts. It'll cost you a total of $75 if you want to have all 3 accounts, the price of a regular fucking game. And you can, if you want to break the terms of service, buy fucking gold or something, I guess. But you should get banned for that. Hopefully, you'll get banned if you do that. Anyway.
Via the cash shop, the open world PvP system of the changing zone states is pretty cool. A nice crime and punishment system with illegal farms, criminal trials, and the...
Which the only gripe that people had about that crime system, by the way, was the fact that you got too much crime points, which is now less, and it's actually pretty good now, honestly.
Freedom to faction flag, and it has instanced content like 1 vs 1 arenas and battlegrounds. But the cons of
None of this matters because the cons are so fundamental and impossible to avoid that it's not worth it. Alright,
Archeage
let's see what the
Unchained
cons
are ultimately so fundamental and huge that the game just doesn't feel like it's worth playing. It feels like there's no fun replayable content.
Wrong. There's no fun replayable content. Hello, we already debunked this in the earlier. He just doesn't know what the content is, apparently.
That makes gearing up worth it. Any goal you set for yourself.
What are you gearing up for? Literally nothing. Watch any of my videos on Archeage, dude. Literally any of my PvP videos. You're gearing up to PvP, and all of the fun worth the content in the game is PvE/PvP. It's a mixture of the both, or it's purely PvP or it's purely PvE. There's not a whole lot of pure PvE. It's just a couple instances that are 40, 50-man instance raids. They're still there. There is 3 relevant PvE raids in the game. Fall of Hiram City, 20-man. Red Dragon, 40, 50-man. And then Kadum, 40, 50-man. All 3 of which are relevant. Tell me at any one point in WoW's history has there been 3 large raids that are actually relevant for you to farm. That's pretty much, an average amount of PvE only raids you would expect, right?
Itself is gated behind weeks of daily quests. The labor
Again, you do not have to do dailies. I'm proof of that.
system cuts your play sessions short when you want to play the game.
The labor system, I can respect the labor system being a con in his point of view. I don't mind the labor system. Maybe it's because I'm used to it. But I guess the labor is quite annoying for people coming from games that don't have that kind of system. I can respect that.
And eats away at you like a nagging girlfriend when you don't want to play the game. It takes forever to boot up, so it isn't a good game for short play.
It takes a long time to boot up. Sure. That's a fair con, but in my opinion, that's a really small thing in the grand scheme of things, right? Whatever.
Sessions, the healing UI sucks nuts.
Okay. First of all, that's funny. The healing UI sucks nuts. I like that. I'd have to speak to some healers and see what they think about it. I don't play healing enough to have an opinion on the healing UI. It's fair. I think the UI is fine, but I'm just a brain-dead DPS, so what can I say? So, yeah.
And the potential of future meaningful content updates is...
Wait, faction versus faction focus rather than guild versus guild in a sandbox MMO. What the fuck? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of faction versus faction, but there's also most of the time a lot of guild versus guild stuff. There's the Dominion system. Most of the stuff that you'll do if you're in a relevant guild, faction versus faction is going to pretty much be with your guild, potentially allied with one other guild working together. So I guess he was just on a bad server with a bad guild.
Cucked by it being a faction versus faction MMO rather than some
incompetent publisher, Gamigo. Clueless Korean dev who doesn't listen to feedback, XL Games. Okay, that's because their feedback they're getting is not from us. It's from the Korean player base of the game who they're generally catering for, and we just get, what they get. However, that is changing because XL Games has finally realized that, holy fuck, there's more people who care about playing Archeage Unchained right now than they do about playing Archeage in Korea in general. We need to listen to them a bit more. So I think that's on the up and up. But it's a fair statement. I don't think they're clueless. I just think they're catering to a different kind of people. Koreans play the game completely different to what we play it, and they're catering. They're changing the game in a way that's suits the people who are playing it on their side of things. And we just get that, basically. Over 200 classes, 10 or so are actually viable. Alright, how about we say that 50 or so are actually viable? Hold on. If I pull open my YouTube video here, if I go to my channel here, and I go to my PvP tier list, I'd say that... So, when I started this video, I said that every single class that I mention in this video is viable as long as you build it right. Everything that's basically A tier and above is meta and good. And there's how many classes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So I did 30 in my first video. I then did a follow-up to this tier list of PvP viable classes because there were so many classes that people played that I didn't cover them all. So I did a new version, which is this video, which, as you can see, includes way more. So it has
Assassin.
like
Okay, so
50 classes at least. Like, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 by 3. We're almost at 50. Yeah, it's over 50. It's almost 60 classes. Some of which, you know, anything that's in D and F tier, probably not viable. So let's say 40, to be generous. 40 classes that are viable. It's not 10. Maybe there are 10 that are broken, but there is 50 that are good and playable. And he uses the word viable. So viable means that you could go out to a raid playing it, and no one's going to be like, why the fuck is this guy playing Outrider? Because, you know, if you were playing Outrider, everyone would be saying that. But you get my point. This is just not understanding the game.
Something more guild focused. I'm gonna have to take the time here to apologize to you guys for making this video here.
I fucked up. I'm sorry. My new favorite MMORPG. So yeah, I don't want to say anything about this video.
At the time of making that video, I was only about a month or so into playing the game, and I was still under the illusion that there was actually fun content worth.
God forbid he played a game for a whole fucking month of his life and had an amazing time playing it, so much so that he felt the need to make a video saying that this is his new favorite MMO, and then a month later he decided he hated it because he got bored with the game. Isn't that just the life cycle of playing an MMO? You can't play it for fucking ever, dude.
Take the time here to apologize.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, on this occasion I was swept up in the hype of playing a new MMO, and in the future I'm gonna try my best to not make stupid ass statements like X game is my new favourite MMO until enough time has gone by that I can at least see the bigger picture with what that game offers. But that's it for this video. I'm sorry it took me so long to put out my final thoughts on this game. To be honest, I was putting it off out of shame from going from being hyped on it to completely dropping the game. As always, please let me know your thoughts on Archeage Unchained in the comments below.
I feel like I shared my thoughts.
And let me know if you went through the same feelings with it as I did. It definitely made me feel better knowing I'm not the only one that misjudged this game. Shout out to Summoner's War for support.
I feel like I need a drink of water. Dehydrated after that.